Today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and the most important thing to know as a white person is it's your job to listen to people of color about their experience of race and trust that their experience is real. Martin Luther King would be 97 today, and his children are still very much alive. That he was fighting against are not over. Racism in this country permeates through every area of our culture. To Martin Luther King Jr. is so important not just because he was a great civil rights leader, but because he is such a phenomenal mirror to the United States. And the powers that be do not ever want change. They especially do not want the people to realize how powerful we are when we band together. If you are successful in banding the people together, they will come after you. You have to look at the way they're teaching the history of Martin Luther King Jr. now and ask yourself why. Why is it important to whitewash this history? And then you have to look at the real history of what happened. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a proponent of nonviolence, but it's physical violence. Martin Luther King Jr. practiced economic violence. They were organizing boycotts that were hurting people's dollars. That's a no-no. He was willing to call the white moderate the real threat to progress for the African American people. And then what was the response to that? The director of the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover, got obsessed with him. A government official did everything in their power to try to tear down this man. They had coordinated campaigns to smear him. They tried to drain his bank accounts. They tried to break up his marriage. The FBI sent him a letter encouraging him to commit suicide or else they would surface his extramarital affairs. Intimidation tactics, political violence, social violence, economic violence, and then they were taken to court about whether or not there was a conspiracy that they played a role in the physical violence that occurred to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
The FBI killed Martin Luther King.
Now, I am not going to publicly state that the FBI killed Martin Luther King Jr., but any logical person can look at the documented steps that the FBI were taking and realize that they took every step up until the point of assassination. So one has to ask themselves, is it more likely that they chose to stop, or is it more likely the pattern of behavior they did take the next logical step in the progression of their behavior? So Martin Luther King Jr., on top of everything that happened, like the Civil Rights Act and all of the progress that was won, it still today remains an incredible learning tool for what American politics and society does to the conversation of race. We try to take the teeth out of the conversation. We try to placate it. We try to dismiss real progressive movements. And Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is a cautionary tale that our government, if you are effective in challenging them, will do everything in their power to tear you down. That is not a myth, it is documented fact. And those are the parts of history that you need to learn so that you can evaluate what is happening today with an understanding of what is possible, what is normal, what is likely to happen. Because for decades, white Americans would have called you crazy for saying the FBI had a coordinated attack on the character, livelihood, and life of Martin Luther King Jr., when in fact that's exactly what was happening in real time. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s life is a roadmap to how to challenge our government, our society, capitalism, and white supremacy. Dr. Martin Luther King's life is a magnifying glass into how the powers that be can and may respond to that type of challenge. The whitewashing of his history since then is a masterclass in how societally we try to disarm these topics and make them palatable for the masses in a way that does not encourage revolution. And for God's sake, don't listen to me on MLK Day. If you watch this whole video, or if you're my child, don't waste time listening to me. Go find Black and Indigenous voices. And economic violence is a threat to the powers that be that they are most terrified of.